What's the name of your fiancé? How old is he? When was he born? Where does he live? And what does he do? Those were just some easy questions being asked from me during our interview in the US Embassy. And if you want to know some hardest questions to answer, stay tuned in this video. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't known me, let me introduce myself. I am Mary, a K1 visa applicant. I have 2 children with me and they are as well applying for K2 visas. Today's video, I'm going to share to you our preparation, experiences, and some pieces of advice for US Embassy interview. So as much as possible, I try to speak in English so that I would have a greater audience. Take note, I am not a native speaker. If you're able to spot grammatical error in my speech, please do bear with me. I am like you in the process of learning the language. Let's get started. What did I do a night before the interview? There were a lot of things I did a night before. First, I visited the official website of the US Embassy. I downloaded the International Marriage Broker Regulation Act, which is in PDF form. I read it. It's all about domestic violence, what to do if you are a victim of domestic violence during your stay in the US. And after that, I got all the things being listed on the checklists, the things to bring during the interview. So what did I bring? First, the passport, the copy of a DS-160, 3 pieces 2x2 pictures, appointment letter, then the original copies of police clearance, birth certificate coming from the Philippine Statistic Authority, and the CINUMAR, or the Certificate of No Marriage. Those were the documents needed during the interview. What's the additional document that I brought? I was bringing along with me proofs of relationships such as pictures, our conversations together with my fiancé. So if you have those things, do not forget to bring it as well. During the interview, we woke up early with my children. Our appointment was 8:15 in the morning. So we prepared. We slept actually early that night. And then we woke up at 5 and we prepared things early. And so we arrived at the area at 7:30 in the morning. So there were people lining up outside the US Embassy. And then the processing of the non-immigrant visa started in there. So the security guard checked your appointment letter so that you can proceed to the next line, and then the DS-160, and then they give you a plastic, it's like a ziplock where you put your a passport inside, maybe for hygienic purposes. That's what I was thinking why they did that. And then after they check the DS-160 on your passport and confirm the barcode, they allow you to get inside the US Embassy. So there are x-rays in there. They scan your belongings. Take note, you are not allowed to bring cell phones in there, lighter, sharp objects, or any objects that has turning on and off. So please, if you want the processing of your interview to be smooth, do not bring any gadgets. What are the steps to follow inside the US Embassy? There are 5 steps to do. First is the data entry, wherein you have to take turns. You have to wait for your turn. And then the pre-screening, the finger scanning, the interview, and the releasing. I'll give you short details about each step. In the data entry, it is where your documents will be screened if it has correct spelling, correct dates, and they're going also to check the photos if you follow the guidelines. and then you proceed to the next step. It is the pre-screening. You are at that step, you were being asked basic questions like what's the name of your fiancé, where does he live, and then at the same time the papers were being scanned, being checked, and then they were told you to proceed to the next step. It's the finger scanning. You were told to put your 4 fingers, the left and right, on the green screen so that they scan your fingerprints. And then after that, it's so brief, they will tell you to proceed to the 4th step, which is the interview. Now I think in every step you have to wait for 10 to 15 minutes interval. Now during the interview, what were the questions being asked? So everybody in there was nervous, I presume, and I was one of them. So during the interview, I was asked both easy and difficult questions, maybe 1 to 15 questions. So what are the hardest questions to answer? I was being asked actually about the proof of our relationship. How many times have we met? When was the first time? Where did we met? And then I was asked if so far we have something which we have disagreed on something, and I said no. He asked, the interviewee asked me why, and I said, well, we communicate morning and night, and then I believe communication is the key to avoid disagreement. So he was impressed, I think, by my answer. And I was asked as well what makes me like my fiancé, and I told the interviewee that my fiancé is kind and loving, and my children as well were asked about the same questions, and I did not expect their answer. And it was so funny because my daughter answered that he found David as a fatherly figure. So the interviewee was amazed maybe by her answer, that he smiled. And then my son was asked the same question as well. I was actually nervous if he could answer it well, but he said he bought me an iPad. So we all laughed. Actually the interview went smoothly. It was because maybe the consul was friendly and very nice. So while waiting for our turn, I've heard some applicants being asked different questions like what is love, how come you fell in love with that person because of age difference. Those were some of the questions, and they went deeply. Maybe they were able to spot discrepancy on the information. But if you are honest, if your relationship is real, there's no reason at all that you cannot answer. So some advice. Well, make sure that you follow the guidelines for the photos, because in our experience during the data entry, the staff told us to have another photos because the photos that we brought did not pass the guidelines. Luckily there was a photo booth outside. It's a Kodak photo booth, so we were able to get another photos. I was worried at that time. I thought we were not be entertained. And then another tip, eat breakfasts before you go for your interview, because it takes, I think, 4 hours to process, 3 to 4 hours to process. So you will be getting hungry and there's no food allowed inside. And then another tip, just prepare the documents ready, because there was an applicant in there. She forgot to bring the result of the medical, and he was not allowed to get out. And then photos, again, as much as possible, secure extra copies or copies of the photos. And then for the questions, There were actually questions posted on Google about the possible questions being asked during the interview. I actually studied those things, but they did not come out. So I think if you are just true to yourself, you're honest, there's no reason that you cannot answer the questions. I was at the same time asked about proof of relationship, so I showed to the interviewee our photos, our communication in Skype, the message and the calls logged in. I printed them out and I showed it to the interviewee, and I think he was impressed. So do not forget to bring yours as well in case the consul will ask about it, as it is part of the requirements. So after the interview, I was given these sheets of paper. This one contains, it's all about domestic violence and some legal rights. And this one, it has telephone numbers and websites to contact, to visit if ever they have problem. We have some questions about the delivery of the visa packet. So I hope you will get this one as well. So I hope that, like me, you will as well be successful in your journey. And yeah, I believe that we have plans in life, but God has a better plan for us. So I am excited to see you if you can make it to US. So you guys take care. Bye. Please don't forget to subscribe on my channel. Hit the like button below. Drop your comments. Feel free to ask me if you have some. I will be very grateful and happy to answer to your questions as much as I can.